What's going on, guys? It's SJHSports. Welcome back to a brand new video. This is something different. I get asked this a lot. Is like, how do you start your own YAR? Basically, the answer to that is I don't really know. I just go through it all. I've done this video just for a few little tips and tricks and stuff that you guys will probably know about. Some of you will, some of you won't know about them. And a lot of people will be like, why did you just watch episode number 1 of your series, Stu? Because I leave a few things out of that edit. Some other YouTubers in there, Curtis, Spine DK, Barmer, Striker 9 and stuff, they may include these into their edits. They may mention about it and stuff like that. Because when you start in a Youth Academy Regens or a Youth Squad Legends or a Youth Edition, whatever you may want to call it, that first season is always, for me, is always the hardest because you're not playing the games, you're letting the computer, it's going to be simmed, and we're going to talk about how to try and help you out, not get the sack, to save you time and stuff like that, and just a few other little bits and bobs that I tend to do and tend to use and things like that. So obviously you want to start a new career, so that's what we're going to do now. We're going to go to manage a career. I always start off with these, don't know why, I always do it. Now you need to think of a team that you're going to be, preferably in League 2. Before we go any further, what I'm going to say is that some of you guys that don't know about what Youth Academy Regens is, basically all it is you design, you take a club, for instance, from Football League 2 to all the way up to the Premier League to win the Champions League and the Premier League title using only regenerated players that the computer makes. Now, and using also your Youth Academy players that retire and they get like what called regen into the game. A lot of you guys will know what a regen is by now. If you don't, it's when a player retires and that player comes back as a different name, but he'll have the same nationality, the same position. He'll also have similar sort of stats to what he was before he retired, when he was at his peak of his career. So we're going to select a team, and I'm going to go with Cambridge United. I've gone past them. I'm going to use Cambridge United for this instance because it's a decent transfer budget to start off with, and stuff like that. They're a 1-star team. We're going to hit OK on that. What you want to do is leave all these the same. These entirely up to you guys what you want to do. The current squad, it's entirely up to you. Download the latest. I'm going to show you another advantage of this now here. So when it loads up, I'll be back with you guys in just a little while. Right, so when your game's loaded up, obviously you're going to go over to your office and you're going to check your mail and you want to check your league objective because this is important. So at the present, the Cambridge board want me to finish mid-table. You guys can change this if you want because you are simulating the risk. The higher the finish is going to be, the more risk you have got of being sacked, especially that first season. So what you want to do is you want to obviously back out of your career. It's entirely up to you what you want to do. You don't have to save it if you don't want. There's no point in saving it. You want to back out of that. You want to go over to customize, then you want to go to edit teams. You also want to check that you've got the downloaded updates on already. There's no new updates available at this time, so please try again later. That's great because it's the most up-to-date squad file that FIFA have put out there for us. Now the trick is you go to team sheets. We are going to be Cambridge United in this case, so we'll hit OK on that. We want to edit the current Cambridge United default formation. Now, a lot of you guys are like, what are you doing? Why are you doing this? A lot of you will know why I'm doing it, some of you won't. So, for instance, you can see we've got Tom Elliott there. You want to get him on the bench, and you want to replace him with a lower-rated player. We're going to use this Foy. We've also got a 51-rated player here. We'll get rid of Nelson. Just go through it, put out the weakest players for the starting 11 you possibly can. It doesn't matter what position they're in either. So we've got 47 here, so we'll put him in for Hughes. Champion, you need to come off as well. That's the weakest starting 11 for Cambridge United ever. Now what you want to do is you want to back out of this. Would you like to save it? Of course you would, so you will save it. Then go over and start a new career again. Yes, I know, it can be a little bit tedious, but it's going to help you out in the long run. Manage a career, we're going to put these on, advanced. This is the most important bit coming up just a sec. When we go to League 2, why is it lagging like mad? So we select Cambridge because that's the team we're going to be. Now the squad used, obviously you've downloaded latest updates already. So what you want to do is you want to go to current customize and then hit advanced. When it all loads up, select your manager and things like that. When it all loads up and stuff, that's great. I will be back with you when it loads up and I'll show you then the difference between the league objective to last time, which was finish mid-table, and the league objective this time. So the game's all loaded up and things like that. You want to go over to office again and check the league objective. It would have changed this time. There you go. It's to finish at the bottom end of the league. That's with the current side that we've got. When we did the customized squads and stuff like that, the starting in 11. Last time we loaded it up before, it was to finish mid-table. Now it's to avoid finishing in the bottom end of the league. Just to show you guys, if you go over to squad, you'll see that you have your starting 11 probably the most weakest starting 11 you could have done. I maybe could have changed Taylor there, but never mind. Let's talk about sell players. Now, you've got to bear in mind as well, lads, that your league objective is still important because you don't want to get the sack. So balancing it up, you can't just dive in and just go, if you go to overall and have the highest, you can't go and sell your highest sort of overall player, because he will help when it's been regenerated. See, for instance, I will probably sell this Mendes Lang. I'll get rid of him. I'd add him to the transfer list to create funds. So add him to the transfer list also. So get that balance right, guys. That's the most important thing to do. I know some of you guys are watching this and your opinions are going to change compared to mine. I know Curtis, if he's watching this, his is going to be exactly the same as well. So we've done that. Now, your transfer budget and stuff you take into consideration. We'll go over to our youth staff, which we can see we've got a budget of £336,000, which isn't £336,000, which isn't an awful lot of cash to get in scouts. So what we do is we look through the scouting list. As you can see, we can afford to get one-star scouts in. That is going to be probably the best you're going to get for at least the first 6 months, for the first 12 months, the first season of this save. Now, or you could wait until you've got the funds in to get yourself a better scout. So what I tend to do is I'll always go for a one-star scout. So we'll hire him. What I'll also do as well is we'll advance a little bit. We'll see if anybody comes in for his players that we've put on the transfer list, or we get any bids for players and stuff like that. And then we can use that money to pump into our youth and our scouting system. That's the whole general idea. Okay, so you can see I've sold 2 players. I've sold a player for 230k. The board have allocated 200k to our current transfer budget, and also we have sold another player for 120k. The board have allocated 120k to our current transfer budget. So now, if we go over to our youth staff and we're going to go higher, you can remember, see our budget's gone up now. That means we're going to be able to hopefully get better scouts. Now there comes a time when you get a scenario like this. If you don't want to go for the one-star scouts, you may want to hold on for a two-star scout. Then you're going to have to wait up until Wednesday each week, because the scouts do get changed over. So in this case, I am going to do that. So Wednesday is upon us, then, so we go to our youth staff, we go to hire scout, and you can see these scouts, there we go, there's one there, but look at the cost. It's going to take a massive chunk out of your budget. Again, it's entirely up to you what you want to do. In this case, I'm going to go for it, an experienced scouting, and it leaves us with 123k in our budget as well. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to sign Luke Thompson, just because I always like to have 3 scouts scouting, because they bring more players in and stuff like that. I always send my scouts out together as well, if I possibly can. You can see the budget we've got is only £81,000. We may have to sell another player to be able to get funds in, depending on where we're going to scout, to send scouts out, because it all costs at the end of the day. So we're going back out of that now, and I'll be back with you guys when the scouts are ready to scout. So you can see we've got all 3 scouts available and ready to scout. This is on the same day. This is the 1st of every month. You don't have to do it on the 1st. I would recommend doing it at the beginning of the month, in that first week spell. Don't do it at the end, because when you get to February, say you sent a scout out on the 30th or the 31st, not all months have 31 days in them. So at least 30, you've got them all in. However, when it comes to February, that only has 28 days or 29 days, depending on if it's a leap year or not. So I always tend to bring them out in that first week, because if you do send these scouts out on the 31st or on the 30th when you get into February, you will lose out on a scouting report, and it's costing money at the end of the day. Funds are tight for that first couple of seasons at least. Now also, whilst we're still on this screen here, we've not got a lot of funds, and it does cost a lot of money to scout. For instance, if we go set up a scouting network, let's use England for instance, because this scout is English. It's going to cost £31,000 to scout him there. You can scout places that are affordable for a lot less cheaper. For instance, we go down to New Zealand or Australia, you can see it's only going to cost us 10. So we're going to send him out there for 3 months. Ideally as well, guys, if you've got a scout that's, for instance, we've got 2 scouts from England, you can't scout England twice, unfortunately. I don't know why it is, but you can see our budget in the top right hand corner has gone down by 10k. We go over to Russia, we set up a scouting network again. Normally I'm going to send this guy out, I would send this guy out to Russia. Let's see how much it is to cost Russia, to scout Russia. 38k. Would you know what, we're going to take a risk with that. We're going to hit OK on that. It only leaves with a budget of £33,000. Now, this is crucial now, because our budget is getting very, very low. We're going to have to go over to New Zealand. And we're going to have to scout New Zealand for 3 months as well. Use the money wisely whilst you've got it, because it does cost a lot more money. Now, we've got a month now, guys, to try and get our budget higher than what it is by, again, selling players. So we're going to like relook at our players that we're going to sell. There's none on the transfer list. Now what I tend to do here is I do take a massive risk, and the risk is pretty damn, it'll pay off for you, it won't pay off for you. So I'm going to put Tom Elliott on the transfer list because it's a decent amount of money. It's 200k. We'll probably get allocated 160 to 180 to our current transfer budget if this deal was to go through. Also, what I tend to do as well is I put up another player that is a bit of a backup. So now I've decided to choose. A lot of these players that are with Cambridge have recently joined. Again, you have that problem of putting him on the transfer list for some reason. I don't know why. So we're going to go with Greg Taylor. We're going to add him to the transfer list now. It's 110k. So if someone comes in for Elliott, then that's great, we won't sell Taylor. But if someone comes in for Taylor, we won't sell Elliott. It's just to allow us to sign players from our youth staff. We've got a month to do this. So now also a lot of simulation goes on. When you're in the transfer window, so when you're in August, the summer transfer window, or the winter in January transfer window, I always sim manually like this. The reason for that is because you don't miss out on any transfer news, you don't miss out on any sort of bids for players or anything like that. So there we go, player sold in. Greg Taylor has been 90k added to our current transfer budget. So we're back at the 1st of September. So now you'll have in your inbox, you will have 3 scouting updates available. So again, it's entirely to you what you want to do with that. He doesn't look a bad player. What I tend to do with this on like scouting reports and stuff is I set myself a lowest potential. I might say the lowest potential is 87, maybe 86. Again, that's entirely to you. It's your save, it's your game. If you want it to be the lowest potential is 81, then go for it. It's your save. So in this case, I will probably sign this. I would actually sign this guy up. So again, once you made a decision on the players, it's pretty simple. Go over to calendar sim. We just go to the next month. We simulate to the 1st of every month. That's the reason for that is because that's when my scouts are coming back. I'll be back when the season's finished. There's no point in me going through all of this. I'll be back when the season's finished. Also as well, I wouldn't say expect good results all the time from your scouting reports because it's all randomised and stuff. Your 1-star scouts are going to not bring back as good players as what, say, a 4-star, 5-star scout is with experience and stuff. But the 1-star scouts, get them in, guys, because it's crucial that you're scouting players, you're trying to get players out there and stuff like that, to sign players to get into your youth academy. And if you've got the catalogue and stuff, use scout future star, use that to your ability, because try and get the best possible scouts in as you can with the funds that you've got available to you. You can fire, you can hire new scouts all the time. You don't have to stick with these 3 scouts that we started already. What I tend to do is, for instance, if I want to sack my Russian scout, I would let him come back from where he's scouting at the minute in Russia before I actually went on and fired him. Right then, we're back. We're back in April, and there's a reason for this. Physical stats, if you didn't know, don't grow as they go through the May bump. 1st of May, the players that you promote from Youth Academy for some reason don't grow in physical stats. A lot of you have been asking that on a few of my videos and stuff, and yes, I forget to do this as well, but it's the way it is. So we'll go to our Youth Academy now. We'll go to Office, our Youth Academy. I've only put 2 players in there. These aren't ideal players. This is a perfect example then. And what I would do is I would promote Tom Rojas as a in April, obviously because I want his physical stats to grow, like his acceleration and sprint speed and stuff like that, because he's a striker. And also with Tyler Doyle, I would make a decision on him as he's a centre midfielder. I would let him go through the May bump, which happens on the 1st of May. The players that I normally try and promote before May, if I do remember to do it, are sort of like wingers and strikers, your left backs, your right backs, your right mids, your left mids. Some cams, depending on how they're looking overall and stuff like that. Again, this is all your save. These are just a few little helpers, little pinpoint tips that you guys may or may not know about. If you do know about them, and I do apologise, this is the video just for the guys that don't know about this sort of thing. So what I'm going to do is, for this video purpose only, I am going to basically let these go through the May bump, and I'll be back when that's happened. So the May bump has happened. Then the overalls have gone up slightly on both of these players, but you can see that Tom Rojas is a winger. At the end of every season, then I would use the starting 11 sort of glitch thing for the league objective. I do that every season, regardless if I'm playing or not playing. It just gives you, takes a little bit of added pressure off yourself. So go through again, field your weakest 11, starting 11 as possible. Don't worry about having players that are in 60s and 62s on the substitutes bench, because it doesn't take that into consideration. It only does it in the starting 11, I believe. I've always done it the starting 11. I've always left the higher rated players on the substitutes bench and in the reserves. It just does it on the starting 11. So spend time, go through that. I'm not going to do it for this video, but spend time, go through all of that, and you'll get a better objective and an easier objective next season, because again, you'll be simulating Season 2, or if you want to play Season 2, you can do. It's entirely up to you guys. Again, it is your save. Another thing that I do at the end of every season is I will search for players, and you probably think, why do you search for players at the end of every season? The reason being is because of players that are going to be retiring. So in the age box in below, I always, oops, I've gone a bit too far and got a bit carried away. I always go 31 to 50. I always do the leagues, major leagues like your Premier League. I do the Liga BBVA, Serie A, Bundesliga. I do like the main 4 or 5 domestic leagues and stuff. So in this case, we're going to use a Barclays Premier League. We're going to Summit search. So you go through it, and I know, for instance, in the first season, probably 9 times out of 10, Didier Drogba does retire at the end of each first season. If you click on him, you can see it says you cannot approach a retiring player. So what I tend to do, so I know that Didier Drogba is retiring in this case, so what I'll do is I will write down his nationality, Ivory Coast. I'll write down his name, Didier Drogba, and also I'll write down his position as well. That's quite vital, because when we load up the next season, Didier Drogba will be regenerated as a different name in the same stats, so same nationality, Ivory Coast, striker, same position, but not necessarily, he may not be at Chelsea, he may have gone to another club. So we'll keep that in mind. I've wrote that down, I know what to do from here. Just spend a bit of time, like 10-15 minutes going through. Sylvain Distin, maybe another one that's retiring at the end of the season. He is, so he's French, he's centre back. We know what to do from there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to load up the next season, and I'm going to show you guys what's what. So at the end of every season then, what I normally do as well, one last final thing to do is I always put it 1 to 99. I don't know why. Some people say, well, it's 99 to 1 ratio, but I always use and always will use the 1 to 99 ratio. So I'll accept that allocation now. What that tends to do is it just tricks the computer into thinking you've not got much transfer budget, so it tends to give you a little bit more than what you would if it was just to leave it. The start of a new season then it is, just to show you guys, it is the start of a new season. There you go, we're on the 30th of June. What I tend to do is I go over to transfers, I go to search for players. So I've got my list in front of me, the players that are retiring. In this case, I've already preset these here to find Didier Drogba's regen. So you can see there that min age is 16 to 21. I tend to tweet between 21 to 22. Nationality Ivory Coast and the Premier League, and his position is attacker. So I'll submit the search on that. There you go. So this is Didier Drogba's regen then. Namari Zoko, he's at Aston Villa. He will regenerate from the same league, so he'll always be in the same league that he regenerates into. Just in this case, again, he's at a different team. So you can see he's age 16. Now what I tend to do on this is I always ask my scouts to scout him, and I also add him to my shortlist as well. So Sylvain Distin then, again, all I've done is I've changed the nationality. I've kept the league the same, obviously, because he plays in the Premier League. I've changed position to defender and role to centre back. We'll summit search on that now, and there you go. That's a great example. I've always wanted that. That is Sylvain Distin's regen there. This guy here obviously is a real player. To know that the actual regens is you get this computerized figure face and stuff like that. Again, you guys should know this by now. So we know that that's Sylvain Distin's regen there. One final thing as well, as you can see, our new transfer budget is £1 million. The wage budget is 4,750. That 1 to 99 ratio has worked in this case. If you'd have left it on the current setting, I think it was 60-40 or whatever it may be, we wouldn't have got this much transfer budget. That is known fact, and a lot of people know that. As you can see, a slightly weaker wages, that we're in the red, but we can also tweak that as well. To be fair, it doesn't really matter about that. So that's it, guys. Hopefully you have enjoyed these few tips and tricks and stuff like that. It's pretty basic stuff. A lot of people definitely will know about these. Some of you guys won't know about them. I get tweeted about this a lot. These are just there to help you out as a starting guiding point and stuff like that. When you get your scouts and your scout reports come back, you're in control. It's your save. It's your players that you want to promote. You make a decision on them players. It's just the way I do things here. And especially the transfer budget glitch and maybe the starting 11 glitch you may not have known about and stuff like that. They're there to help you out, guys, as much as possible. Thank you very much for watching. I've been SJHSports. I shall love yous and I'll leave yous, and I will see you next time.